Welcome to the realm of influence where speakers don't just find stages, they build kingdoms. My name is Pastor Terry Higgs. I am the founder of Speaker Realm, where speakers become sovereigns. And I believe your voice is more than a message, it's a movement, it's a ministry, it's a mandate. But here's the problem most speakers are stuck in the grind, chasing gigs, piecing together systems, and losing opportunities because they work harder instead of working smarter. Today, I have the distinct pleasure of interviewing one of the first Speaker Realm speakers, Dr. C.S. Wilson. Dr. C.S. Wilson is an accomplished speaker with extensive experience on numerous influential platforms. He's been featured across thousands of media outlets, including prominent national television appearances on TBN and 700 Club, where he shares his powerful story and expertise. His story of inspiring audiences underscores his ability to deliver impactful, engaging presentations that resonate deeply with diverse listeners on topics of personal transformation and decision making. Without further ado, I want to introduce you to Dr. C.S. Wilson. Dr. Wilson, welcome to the realm of influence. We're honored to have you today.
Pastor Ease, it's absolutely my honor to be here with you. I'm looking forward to the interview.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we're grateful to have you. I want to begin by, just acknowledging that your testimony, your
Mhm.
story is amazing. Um,
Praise God.
being a pastor and connecting with you, I know that you're in ministry as well, which we'll talk more about. Uh, but I believe your story needs to be told to the masses. I think that there are probably even people out there who may have been in a similar situation who
Mm.
can be inspired by your story, who maybe didn't believe before, but now as a result of your story and your testimony, they believe. And so essentially what we're talking about is how 17 years of wrongful imprisonment prepared a voice the world needs to hear. You spent 17 years in prison for a crime you didn't commit. But here's the thing. You left with a doctorate in theology. You started a tech company, and a little over 10 days or so ago, you got accepted to speak at Cambridge University. So
Yes.
this is part one of the story of how the confinement prepared you for the platform. Let me ask you this.
Sure.
You were 17 in a juvenile detention center when a guard slipped you a Gospel of John booklet. And that night, and I can only imagine as being 17 years old, the things that were going through your head, right? Being in a place that you never thought you'd be, no family, confinement, right? But
Yeah.
that night you rededicated your life to the Lord. Can you kind of walk me through that moment and tell me how that changed your life?
Yeah. So initially May the 16th, 2002, I was incarcerated. And because I was about a month away from my 18th birthday, they put me into a juvenile correction center. And I just, the people who are right for the gospel is those who are in transition and those in trouble. And I found myself in both. And then I was just open, receptive to God. I remember the guard coming by and putting the Gospel of John under the door. And as soon as I began to read the first passage, I just knew, I wanted to be right with the Savior, and that whatever I would find myself at, I want to be used by Him. So I just kind of got it, in that place of confinement. It allowed me the clarity to make a conscious decision for Him. Yeah, to not just profess Him, but to walk with Him, no matter
Wow.
what. Yeah, even though I
Wow.
know I wasn't supposed to be there, I was receptive, So yeah.
Right. And from everything that I've read about your story and in speaking with you, you come from a faith filled family, right? Your mom and dad were pastors. I think they even currently still pastor, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, mom and dad still passing 27 years, I think it is, and counting. And I grew up in a home that I never heard my mother and father argue. I mean, they really lived the gospel. So it was
Amen.
essentially their example that I knew, the way, the truth, and the life. I knew it was the Lord. So
Right. Right.
God just used that situation as long as it was upon me. Like he doesn't cause everything, but he uses everything. And
Right.
that was the initialization of my walk with God. Yep, 17 years old.
Wow, wow, I love it. And you went from, acknowledging, that you needed God, right, more than you probably ever needed Him before, but you somehow, used that experience and you became an inmate pastor. I think I read somewhere that you broke the baptism record for Virginia Department of Corrections.
Yes, sir. I
Like,
think it was like 2018, maybe 2019.
okay,
Yeah, we was at Lawrenceville Correctional Center, and we put the baptism pool out, and just by faith, I just began to declare, and we taught on it, and the guys just continued to come up, and the water was filthy, but heaven was rejoicing to see hardened criminals get it. This gospel works when
sure,
criminals understand, that they could still place their trust because they don't trust easily. And
right,
so we absolutely was in a move with God. So that was, God saying, "Hey, I still can use everything, and doesn't matter
sure.
how man has counted you out. The gift and calls are without repentance." Yeah.
Wow, wow. And you described November 19th, 2019 as your lowest moment. I think you said you were watching the 700 Club and you seen Pat Robertson and he said, actually one of my favorite scriptures, be still and
Wow.
know that I'm God. Like what happened in that
Yeah.
moment?
Yeah. So I remember it clearly because in that season, I remember praying for people, seeing them go home, praying for people, seeing miracle signs and wonders as it pertains to healing, financial blessings, like God showing up. And then I wanted this one thing. I just wanted to be home with my family. And so definitely at a low point, when expectations aren't met. So I was praying. I heard Pat Robinson, he spoke scripture. I got on my knees and prayed, and I heard the Lord say two words. It was one name. It was Birdie Jameson. So I got up off my knees. I went to the phone. I called my mother. I said, "Mom, I don't know what it is. I think it's God, but I believe you're supposed to reach out to Birdie Jameson. I want you to see if she knows anybody in the governor's office." At that time, I've been turned down for all the petitions you can think of: writ of
Right.
mandamus, writ of actual innocence, habeas corpus, Supreme Court, Virginia's U.S. Supreme Court. And so my mother texted her, and 30 minutes later, I had a petition in at the time for clemency. So the only person who could get me out was the governor of Virginia at the time, Governor Ralph Northam. She texted my mother back, and I didn't know my mother hadn't talked to her in over a calendar year.
Wow.
But my mother texted her, and she called my mother back, and she said, "Miss Terry, I don't know what it is. It must have been God that had you text me then. When you text me, I was sitting in front of the governor." And yeah,
Wow.
I was sitting in front of the governor. The governor said, "If what you're saying is true, we'll investigate those claims and we'll get Christopher out of there." And that was November the 19th, 2019. And April the 2nd, 2020, I was released executively pardoned in light of an affidavit stating my innocence by Governor Ralph Northam in Virginia.
Wow. So a
Yeah.
little less than 4 months, God gave you
Yeah.
that name and
Yeah.
you acted on it, right? You sent it to
Yeah.
your mom.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
mom hadn't spoken with Miss Jameson in over a year, and she texts
Yeah.
her, and she's sitting in the governor's office.
In front of the governor. Yeah.
Look at God. Look at God.
Yeah.
Yeah, look
Nothing
at
but
God.
God.
Truly, truly amazing. And speaking of amazing, when I hear that word amazing, I think of mothers, right? Because
Mm.
there's a old saying like there's no love greater than a mother's love, like literally besides God, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and and one of the things that really encouraged me was how we would never expect our mothers to give up on us, but I think I read somewhere that your mother bought you like 17 every year. She
Yeah.
bought you Christmas gifts. She brought you birthday gifts. And
Yeah.
so, believing that you would come home.
Yeah.
How did
Yeah.
her faith play a role in sustaining you, in difficult times? I mean, I know you strengthen your relationship with God, you leaning on Him, trusting Him, but I can still imagine that it wasn't easy. Did your mother's faith
Sure.
have anything to do with that?
Absolutely, like she was my rock. So you don't have the physical support, so your family can't be there. But emotionally, I would get on the phone and talk to my mother regularly, and she would gird me up. She continued to speak life into the situation, and my parents sent money, so her faith was absolutely pivotal, and continue to flower me, water me, so that I could continue to believe and stay sane in a place where insanity runs rapid. Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. And so on February 3rd, 2020, I know you probably remember that date very well. You were pardoned. What
Yeah.
what at the moment, like, how did you get the news, and what went through your mind at that moment?
Yeah, so my mother knew. I think one of the investigators had told my mom, so I was just like at the beginning of February, like time just stopped because it's all like prison is like the Walking Dead. It's such a numbing effect that it's because you can't undo what's happening, so the pain doesn't go away. I'm talking about you wake up with it, you go to bed with it because you're perpetually in exile. Like prison is real, the pain of that place is real. So I'd heard about I'm pardoned, and it's just and then February the 3rd, when they send it to me to sign it, you signing it, but you still seeing the prison walls, so you just kind of waiting for it to manifest because all is at the time for me over 17 years of being in prison for something that I didn't do. So I just needed this because Virginia is known as the dark horse of litigation.
Oh,
You
really?
get in trouble in Virginia, yes, sir, it's extremely hard to get out. So even after signing it in February, it wasn't until April the 2nd. And then I remember when I was released, I'm on the grounds outside of the prison, and family was there to greet me, and everybody wanted to hug. I said, "Yeah, hey, I love y'all. Let me get off the premises, though.
Right.
Let me get away
Let me
from
get
the
out of here.
gates. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I don't want to be on these grounds, like so it could just
Right.
become more real. Yes, sir. And then, but since then, it's been like the honeymoon phase. I hadn't left it, traveling the world, just seeing the grace of God. Yeah, it's still not real, but it's just I get to
Right.
enjoy it. So this is amazing. Yes, sir.
Wow. Wow. Um, when you got out, a lot of times when we go through challenges, particularly when we're not wrong, right? You were wrongfully imprisoned. Um, Sometimes we carry bitterness, like
Mhm.
what happened. Did that feeling of bitterness, or did you have feelings of bitterness as a result of
Um,
what happened to you?
no, so that reminds me of when his name was Caleb Wilson, I believe, but he had messaged me from the 700 Club. The piece was about to play. They wanted to play it on that Monday because Pat Robinson wanted to introduce it. It was supposed to air that Friday and say, "Hey, we got these hours of footage, but we don't have recorded where you was bitter. So we need you to give us some, information on that. Just tell us what was that like." And I was like, "No, you got it right. I wasn't bitter, it was just I felt like it was beneath me to be, just like wasn't smart. So I wasn't
Right.
gonna use any energy, to something that you can't change and this, because God has showed up. So it was like,
Hmm.
the scriptures like you travail and you're in pain, but when the baby arrives, you just forget that. So I just kind of knew it was tough, being in that place is hard, but it's like God won. He always causes a triumph. I
Right.
really did that. Yes, sir.
Wow. 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 And when was the moment that you realized that you needed to tell this story? Like, when did you realize that this experience would culminate into that of a professional speaker and having a speaking career?
That's a great question. I've done a lot of interviews, a lot of podcasts. I don't think I ever got that. I wouldn't point it down to a particular moment. It's just kind of when you're called, to be a leader, you're called to be influential. It's kind of like you get it. Your life is not your own. That's for everyone. It's kind of like we all got a message, and I just the magnitude of it because I never shied away from like I was always a little popular kid in school. I was a leader. I was one of the smartest ones in the class, and So you just kind of know it's in you to do that on whichever level. And so just kind of like public speaking came to me. My father was a pastor, is a pastor, excuse me. My grandfather was a pastor. The mantle just kind of fell, you know. So it's kind of
Sure.
like more like my realization, like, oh, yeah, you can't run from it. You can't do nothing else and be
Right.
fulfilled. Yes, sir. I was just gonna have to use my voice to
Right.
help
Right.
whoever I would encounter. Yes, sir.
Right. Wow. Wow, man. You're treading all over a message I preached not too long ago about mantle and a mandate. Right.
Oh wow, wow, wow.
Mantle is what God calls us to do. A mandate is executing what He called us to do.
Nice.
So yeah, I can certainly identify with that. Now, knowing that there are prisoners in prisons all over the United States and even the world for that matter, who may have a similar backstory to what
Mm.
you have, who may not have hope, who may not have a relationship with God, right? Who
Yeah,
may
yeah.
not have an advocate, who may not have someone praying for them. Do you feel compelled to talk to those people? Like, do you envision yourself going on a kind of a circuit, or back into prisons, to bring hope and encouragement to those who might have a similar circumstance?
Yes, and absolutely. So it's like for them to see me, my life, my voice on this side of the gate, conveys hope. Cause I sat where they are, you know, I've been where they are. It reminds me real quick. I just did a few months ago a graduation at a prison in Virginia. I live in North Carolina now. They had me out to do this graduation, and I actually graduated the program that they were having. It's like a substance abuse program. And I said, hey, some 10 years ago, you know, I got up, I was in the same program. One of y'all got up today, put on the same cap and gown. One of y'all put on the same robe that I had on, you know, and now
Right.
I'm on this side. I said, but you know I'm supposed to be here because when I graduated the program, I went to cell 124. Cell 124 was in the honor dorm. The honor dorm represented the best I ever had it on the inside of prison. It's,
Sure.
you know, you get privileges, more time outside. And I said, I was in cell 124. And 124, I dreamed and seen everything that I'm doing now. I seen it. Book published by TVN, having my own television show, traveling the world, ministering, preaching the gospel, using the speaker ram. I ain't know it was a speaker ram at the time. And I
Right.
said, you know I'm supposed to be back here to tell you about, to encourage you about, because I just closed on my dream home. And my dream home is located at 124
Wow.
Avalon
Are
Drive.
you serious?
Yeah, damn it. Yeah, yeah. You can't
Wow.
put this together.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was like
Wow.
my responsibility to tell it that it's bigger than me. And God got a 124 Avalon Drive for all
Wow.
of these people. Yes, sir. Yeah.
Completely amazing. But
Yes, sir.
I'm not surprised by anything that God can do. That's just where my
Yeah,
faith is at. But I absolutely love your story. Well, look, Dr. Chris, I want to thank you for being on with me today.
absolutely.
Super, super excited about your future.
Yeah.
Um, and
Thank you,
really
man.
honored in the fact that you would join in with Speaker Realm and what God blessed me to build to help to really catapult your career to where God has already said it's going to be.
Yes,
Uh,
sir. Yes,
yeah,
sir.
so super grateful to have you. And we'll come back for part two, and in part two, we're going to talk about when you discovered a tool that gave you access to over 100 speaking opportunities a day. How you went from
Yeah.
signing up to getting accepted at Cambridge University in
Yeah.
just 7 days of using the
Yeah.
system. So
Yeah.
look,
Yeah.
I think part one was powerful, but I think part two is going to show our viewers what happens when preparation meets opportunity. So thank you for coming on. I appreciate you.
Yes, sir. Looking forward to the next one.
All right, all right. So I'm going. Hey, my name is Terry Higgs. I am the founder of Speaker Realm, and I want to welcome you to the Realm of Influence podcast, episode 2, entitled Cambridge. On the last episode, we spoke with Dr. C.S. Wilson, and we talked about his story of being confined and wrongfully imprisoned for 17 years and how he went from confinement to Cambridge. And today we're going to talk about Cambridge. We're going to talk about, how he went from not just the wrongful imprisonment, but being pardoned, being released with a doctorate in theology. And so today we're going to talk about what happened when he discovered Realm Scouter, took action, and got accepted to Cambridge University in 7 days. You heard me right, in 7 days from using the system. So Dr. Chris, welcome back. I'm honored to have you back this morning as we talk about from free trial to world stage, how one speaker took action while 33 others didn't. Welcome back.
Wow. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be back, excited to continue to share this. You have built some, I would say that, what I am doing now and how my next year is laid out is inextricably connected to Speaker Realm, Speaker Scholar. Yeah, so absolutely just excited about what you have done. It's amazing. It shouldn't be taken lightly, shouldn't be taken for granted. It has absolutely changed the way that speaking opportunities are acquired. Absolutely.
Wow. Thank you so much, man. That is really, I think what speakers need to hear. There's with the advancements in technology and with AI, there's so many, systems and so many, types of plans being sold. But a lot of times people will not take advantage of something that could really change their life, just being apprehensive, not knowing, not seeing it work, not having proof. And so you certainly have brought the proof that if you use it, right, then it'll work for you. Like anything else, if you don't use it, you can't expect it to work for you. So I want to talk a little bit about, your transformation, right? Because, at the end of the day, our name is really all we have, right?
Yes,
and your name was tarnished, right, for something you didn't do. But you left prison with a cleared name. You left with a doctorate in theology. Most people would take time to decompress, right? But you immediately started building from the moment that you got home. What was driving you, and how did you go from incarceration to entrepreneurship?
Yeah, great question. I think like entrepreneurship is kind of on you. You kind of just it's when you gotta do more. You want to see more. You have an appetite to create jobs and to discover systems that makes life easier for yourself and for others, and to create generational wealth and ways to give back. And so I just kind of it was in me. And then, so like, I actually, the book, TBN published my book. I wrote it while I was in prison. My first book, second book, 3/4 of the way finished. And it was just a drive because it's like, what's in you won't let what's around you stay the same. We're called to increase, multiply, fulfill, and subdue the earth. It's in man to build. Oftentimes that's suppressed. Oftentimes that's pushed down because of life and circumstances and not having. But yeah, it's in us. God put it in us. Like we're creative. Our creative expression is waiting to be, seen. So God's creative genius is on us. It's in us, and it's just on us to manifest that in the earth. So I just kind of always knew. It's kind of like with life, you go through and you put your hand to the plow, you don't look back. So I just always knew that I would be here. I just always knew, like, I didn't know speak around per se, but I just knew like my story would meet the right system, and then the masses would be benefited. Yes, sir. And that's what my first book is about: making optimal decisions so the maximum amount of people are benefited and the least amount of people are sorrow. Yes, sir.
Wow. I love it. And so, the funny thing is, I think when you first signed up for the trial, we were having a database issue and you couldn't get in. And, I somehow, found out about that, I think through a message on Facebook, and say, hey, I'll get it fixed. And, a lot of people would have stopped there. They would have been like, look, I'm trying to get this product. Apparently something is wrong. It doesn't work. That's a bad sign, right? But it wasn't a bad sign for you.
Message that said, hey, is this thing real?
Yeah. So why did you not give up on it? On it
I
working,
just kind
right?
of had a I had a piece about it. If what this ad said was true, hey, we'll find the opportunities for you. I knew that's just all I needed. I had the experience, I had the competence. I just didn't know what existed. So, speaking around is so important to me because I'm without 17 years, 11 months, 3 weeks, and 2 days of
Sure.
making, relationships, garnering connections,
Sure.
in the speaking industry, in the entrepreneurial world, in life in general,
Sure.
friends and family, and just minus almost 18 years worth of life experience
Sure.
and meeting people. You meet people in time, just
Sure.
working different jobs or in different careers, building different businesses. So I was
Sure.
without that. So I was going to need something to say, hey, this opportunity is here. You just apply for it. This opportunity is here. And then the help with applying. So it kind of just, it made so much sense. It was worth me inquiring, hey, is this real? Like, can this happen like this? Because I've been
Right.
speaking, I've been a few places, I get reinvited. I mean, life is decent, but like, is this possible? And
Sure.
so in finding that out, yeah, and I'm so glad I did. It's just like
Wow.
speak around makes life like it's not real. Like this is a dream because you
Mhm.
get to apply for things that you didn't know exist.
Sure.
Otherwise, I mean, that's kind of the story of Cambridge that
Right.
I didn't even know that I never heard of the world on education like I didn't know that existed.
Sure.
Speaker
Sure.
Ram did, found
Wow.
it, and
Wow. Wow. And
yeah.
that speaker realm product you were using in particular was Realm Scouter, which is the discovery engine, right? So it has,
Mm,
a call for speakers function. It has a lead search function. It has a podcast search function. And
wow.
basically, it's been built, to go out and find those opportunities, and then through an AI matching feature, match you up, as well as allow you to search, for keywords, so on and so forth. But in our previous conversations, I think that you acknowledge, you had the gifts, you acknowledge the calling, on your life for both ministry and speaking, right? But you really didn't have the tools that you wanted to really maximize those opportunities. And so I think before Speaker Realm and Realm Scouter, you even purchase some programs and purchase some coaching. Tell me a little bit about the comparison between what you thought was going to help you and what actually ended up helping you.
Yeah, I mean, you couldn't have asked that any better. What you thought was going to help
Right.
at that price point, as opposed to the help that was garnered. There are systems and programs being sold, and I purchased one or two of them. That kind of promises help and puts help off in the distance, but there's not specifics, So Ram Scouter, that arm of Speaker Ram, it offered the specifics. It offered immediate help. Like I'm talking about, I purchased one program, still waiting on it to work.
Right.
Got with Speaker Ram, and within a week, seeing results. Not like this might happen or just like I seen results right away. So
Right.
there's absolutely no comparison. There's nothing on the market like this for everything in house. If you're a speaker, if you need things lined up, if you got any material, if you got any type of signature speech, if you got any experience speaking, if you want to be a speaker,
Sure.
there's nothing else in the market like this. The Speaker Brand puts it all under one roof, and you get day one access to it. Like the only thing was for me, because I've been gone so long. It's
Sure.
funny, I got a tech company, but I'm still learning,
Right.
technology and stuff. So Speaker Ram is just so much. You think it's an army. Like who put this together? So you just got to figure out how to use it. It's user friendly, but it's just so much to it. You don't even know that you have all of this. Yeah.
Exactly. I'm glad you brought that up because, I think that could be a barrier, for many people. They look at it and be like, oh man, this looks complicated, right? As a matter of fact, I want to thank you because you were the inspiration behind the call for speakers feature being added back to the application, right?
Oh
Because
wow.
when I initially built the application, I had a call for speakers function in it. I felt like it was valuable information for speakers, could really help speakers maximize their opportunities. But I felt that it was complicated and it would be difficult for the user to manage, to navigate. And then, after speaking with you, after getting the database error fixed, and I want to also, add that your adoption and belief in Speaker Realm has been, certainly encouraging, to me as a founder. And it's been, a real sign that this is why when you build something, you have to align yourself with people who, number one, have a need.
Yeah.
Number two, believe in themselves and believe in the tool and who will use it, right? Because we have probably over 40 trial users right now, and no one besides you, myself, and another speaker, no one's still really using the system for its intended purposes. I think because they're overwhelmed. So working with you has been great because we've gotten to a point now where, if there's something that needs to be addressed, right? I'll never make a claim that the system is actually absolutely perfect, but I will make a claim that I am available pretty much 24/7 to address support issues, technical difficulties. You text me. If I'm in a position to fix the issue that you're having, I'm fixing it immediately.
Absolutely.
So this is going to go a lot further than just the Cambridge conversation, because you share in the overall success and future success of what Speaker Realm is going to do for the speaking marketplace.
Yeah, absolutely. I just kind of feel like this particular interview, unless there's more to come, is almost premature because I've applied for a few, and then some of there's deadlines on it, so they don't evaluate right away. So you got some in the up and coming months that I'm sure are going to come back, and then there'll be more appointments. I'm sure of it.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. It really is. The scriptures say, like, when he returned the captivity of those of Israel, they were like them that dream dreams. It's like man, AI has now made this possible, and they're seeing it. I just got to go deliver, but Speaker Realm absolutely showed us where the stages were, assisted in session outlines, and so we just got to go deliver. It's absolutely there. You've been more than fair and easy to work with. It's you wouldn't think you built this thing, because this is I mean it, no disrespect, but
no, I get it.
And I really am what you said, as far as like someone who had the need for that, give them my story. That's why I just think it was definitely a perfect partnership. So, like, if Speaker Realm overcame my background,
sure.
What's the next man's excuse? If Speaker Realm overcame, this 17 years, that must be it. It's that big. And Speaker Realm technology overcame it. I'm here in North Carolina. You're in California. This is from seed to shining seed. Manifest destiny. Exactly. And Speaker Realm just close the gap.
It's funny.
How big this system is. Yeah,
it's funny when you said that, like you were surprised that I built it. I'm surprised too. I never look 6 months ago, if you would have told me that I could have built something like this,
I
would have told you I didn't have the technical ability to do. This speaks to the power, of AI, and how your open-mindedness and receptiveness to working with it can be a pivotal moment or shift in your ability to become better, to achieve goals, to accomplish dreams, that's what it's all about. It gets such a bad rap from people who abuse it, who don't use it effectively. And being a pastor, number one, everything I do is by faith. Speaker Realm was built by faith. Realm Scouter was built by faith. But the integrity and the ethics play a significant role in the software application itself, I don't know if you noticed the ethics and compliance agreement that you had to agree to in order for emails to be sent out on your behalf, right? There's literally been no stone unturned in ensuring that we're in compliance, that we operate with the highest level of integrity, that our ethics are in place, and so that is I don't believe are commitments that every company stands behind nowadays. you know. But I want to talk more about, because we're talking about a really short window, right? You logged into Realm Scouter, you saw 100 plus opportunities being added every day. Like, what was going through your mind?
Yeah. So it's just kind of like you kind of like saying it ain't real. So it's like, man, I just feel like if I'm in front of decision makers, that's the value that the Scout Realm added to me. It's like, man, they can find the decision makers. I feel like I have substance to add to their audience. That I can fit the bill. I can know what
Sure.
the event is and tailor to that particular setting. And Speaking Around found it just when I started applying, I was like, man, I know that something's gonna come back on
Right.
this. Yeah. And so the Cambridge University, it was just so happened it was right before the deadline. And just that I remember that morning getting that email and sending that to you. And that was like an unreal moment for it, because at that moment it was like, man, from confinement to Cambridge, this is
Right.
church here. These are the smartest minds in the world. This is an absolute honor. And
Wow.
Speak Around found it. Yeah, this is
Wow.
yeah.
And I think, and I appreciate that, and was really, man. I have to tell you, when you sent me that message, it was confirmation, right?
Mm,
Look, confirmation and vindication.
wow. Yeah.
And so, but the funny thing is, you really hadn't applied for that many opportunities before you got accepted to Cambridge, right?
No, I hadn't. It was less than 10, because I remember like just doing it. I applied for Cambridge in the first couple days. And so I
Right.
was just getting the, yeah, you had the free trial. And I was like, man, this is worth doing. And I remember doing it and then saying, hey, this feature right here, can you help me with this? And I mean, you literally walked me through it. It was absolutely, you should put up there risk-free trial, because
Right.
there's no downside, yeah, for
Right.
anyone getting and utilizing this system. There's no downside to it. You just spend a few minutes, and long and behold, like Speak Around made it just a few clicks away, and the connection from a sale to Cambridge, from
Right.
prison to prestige. Yeah,
Right.
you can't write this stuff. Yes, sir.
Amazing. You can't make that up. You really can't.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
let's talk about the utilization of AI for a moment, if we may, because
Please.
a lot of people will say, "Oh, you're using AI, right?" Well, I think that there needs to be some context in how that statement is portrayed, right? Because
Mhm.
you could use AI unethically. You could say, "Hey, write me a story, about being in prison for 17 years and how I want to speak at Cambridge at this specific event." You could
Yeah,
give that to Chat GPT, and Chat GPT would write it, right?
yeah.
But that's not what you experienced, right? What you experienced
Uh,
was something different. Can you talk about your usage of the AI feature, and like, where is it getting the information to make your application?
yeah, absolutely. So the first day I spent setting up the profile. So like that's, I would say, the most important thing when you give your information to the profile. And then so when it comes to the speaking opportunities, AI finds them, and then based on your profile, it writes a bio to that particular event. So contingent upon what the event is, it just highlights what you already are, what you've already accomplished, and what you are able to do, to tailor it towards the event. So it puts you at a competitive advantage. And so everything is real. Like I said, everything is ethical. The
Right.
story is real. All it
Absolutely.
did was went on what I gave it. So they
That's it.
definitely had to lie with me. Yeah.
That's
and they
it.
made
That's
it
it.
happen. Yes,
And
sir.
you know, that's amazing, right? Because that's the reason why people say they won't use it. That's the reason why people say
Wow.
they won't try it, right? Oh, it's AI.
Wow. Wow.
You know, and the reality is that the people who have not yet adopted AI, um, either they're going to adopt it or they're going to get left behind,
Left
right?
behind.
I say all the time, AI won't take your job. A person using AI
Using AI.
will take
Yeah.
your
That's absolutely true.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yep.
absolutely. Absolutely. And so, you know, as someone who's, you know, building, you know, businesses and a speaking platform, what's your take on having like a speaker operating system like Speaker Realm versus using, you know, multiple tools to do the same thing?
Yeah, that's a great point. With everything being in house, it really saves you. I mean, it's if you're serious about your speaking business, speaking career, hands down, there's no comparison. There's no second place. The price point for other things is so outrageous. When this right here is delivering, Speaker Ram is giving results, and everything you need. This is the only thing that I could vouch for to say this is turnkey. It absolutely is. You know, it's absolutely turnkey. And I had a little momentum, and Speaker Ram has just made like the exposure. This it would not have happened had I not had Speak Around. And for
Wow.
everything to be there, yeah, every tool that you need, any speaker, every tool you need is there. The
Wow.
help you need is there, yeah. And then I would say the underrated thing, I know this will be less and less as time goes by because it'll get bigger and bigger, but having access to you, the
Sure.
man that built this, yeah, that
Sure.
is absolutely golden. I mean, that's worth well beyond, you know, what you can pay per month to use
Absolutely.
this system. Yeah, absolutely. When
Absolutely.
people charging way more for less
Oh,
results.
absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much for that. And I guess my next
Sure.
question is, what would you say to speakers who have access to tools like this but aren't taking action? Right? Like let me give you an example. We have
Mhm.
a little over 40 trial users right now and three who've actually converted over to plan. So that means there's 37 people who were given access to the system, but for some reason didn't use it or they're not taking action. What would you say to them?
Um, so it's kind of rough, like, cause I kind of like be hard on people. 'Cause you got like, look, you serious or you not? You know, so,
Right,
because you see what's available, and I'm not just a clinging symbol. I'm saying it's working. Like I'm
right,
fruit from the tree. You
right.
know, so if you looking, I almost want to tell them like, okay, well, just I'll speak, you know, 500 times, you know, within a 2 year span. Like I'll take them all then,
Exactly.
because it's available. It's right there, and it
Right,
literally put it at your footsteps. You know,
right.
to utilize this and do what you've been wanting to do. If you're serious about speaking, there's nothing better than this. And I didn't say this before, but now that I think about it, it makes too much sense. Like I read hundreds of books. You know,
Right.
in prison, I was reading a book a week. All that stuff on
Sure.
success and you
Sure.
know, being blessed,
Sure.
prospering, business, leadership. I read it all the bestsellers, and you know, some good. You know, you get, but without the specifics. Speaker Ram is the specifics to this particular path. Like if this is what you desire to do, you feel like you're supposed to have a microphone, your voice is supposed to be amplified. There's no other system to amplify your voice like Speaker Ram.
Wow,
You just
man.
gotta be
Absolutely.
serious about it. Yeah.
Absolutely love it. Well, you know, we live this. You know, I'm so fortunate to have a development and a support team behind me to build this. And part of building is recognizing that sometimes growth doesn't come as quick as we want it to, and that's not a bad thing because it gives us the ability, gives me the ability to grow. Right, it gives me the ability to spend more time in the product on the back end, fortify it, increase new, you know, introduce new features, so on and so forth.
Mm.
And you know, and so just so happy to that you ran across Speaker Realm and that you know we've connected, you know through your usage, right? You know, I like to think that you know we certainly have a business relationship, but we've even developed a personal relationship outside of speaker realm, and I think a lot of that for me always kind of walk a fine line when it comes to secular business and spiritual business. I used to, but what I've come to realize is that my story of becoming a pastor at the age of 48, and planning a church in a pandemic, right, and realizing that it was no longer my responsibility to take care of the church financially, being a young church, and praying to God, asking for a release to go out and do something. And I really didn't know what that something was. So in December of 2024, I believe in the prophetic anointing. I wouldn't necessarily call myself a prophet, but I would say that I have a prophetic anointing on my life, right? And because prophecy doesn't come from man, it comes from God, right?
Yes,
and that's misconstrued, to all of these self-acclaimed prophets. But that's a whole nother conversation. But God gave me a prophetic word in December 2024. That word was breakthrough. It was for the year 2025. And the difficulty in that is that okay, you say, what does breakthrough look like? When does it get here? How will I know I'm experiencing it?
Yeah.
I just want to say that your Cambridge acceptance validated the prophetic word of breakthrough that God gave me for 2025, because the fundamental concepts of a breakthrough are humility, right? Believing that God is who He says He is, and He can do what He says He can. And so your Cambridge moment was confirmation of God's word over my life, and what He gave me. It was God saying, through a pastor, building a tool that helped a man that had been silenced for 17 years get to one of the most prestigious stages in the entire world, right? So what is that telling me? That's telling me that there are more stages that need to hear from Dr. C.S. Wilson.
Praise God.
So where does your message go from here? What stages need to hear your story?
Wow, I wasn't expecting that. That's really well said. Because it dawns on me just how it's so much bigger than us. You build Speak Around, and then how God utilizes it to put people in different places. So I would just say I'm going to more colleges, and even these high schools need to be encouraged by the story. I like to tell my story in the third person, so people don't even know to the end that I'm talking about myself. Because God just do it like a work like that. You don't even know.
Right.
You come out, you don't have to smell of smoke. So continue to do schools, and I found that I know in speaking you kind of gotta have a niche, so you can't speak to everyone. But I kind of realized God really has used me just because the story isn't mine, I'm just a steward over it. And that's what Speak Around has helped me to do, to be in front of the masses, that seeing so many people benefit from my story, that because we all got a story. So you're never too young to dream, never too old to dream. You can have a dream at 9, you can get one at 90. But destiny can be ignited, yes, sir, on the inside of the masses. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Well, look, Dr. CS, look, man, feel completely blessed, man, to have become a business partner, and because look, this isn't you purchasing a $79 subscription and being on your own. Look, you've wasted $79 in greater ways than what you've spent so far. But this really is a partnership, because myself being the founder, I'm completely invested, right, in your success. And I think you know that. I mean, do you feel that, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And so I'm committed to we've already got the first breakthrough. Look, I'm excited and believing and praying for the next one.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Can't say it no better than that. Last thing I would like to say this though to the 30-something people who didn't or who haven't taken full advantage of the system. I would just encourage them though to make the time to do it. Cause maybe they won't, you don't see the results right away. So you're saying, man, but all you gotta do is keep it. Cause the numbers don't lie.
Right.
AI allows you to apply for more and to submit for more. So, and as long as you keep getting in front of the decision makers, the stages are waiting on us because there's so many events being held, and this is worldwide. So it's
Absolutely.
definitely a stage for everyone. Yes, sir.
Absolutely. Well, look, Dr. C.S. Wilson, we are honored to have you on our second episode. You were on our inaugural episode, on our second episode. Sure, you're going to be on future episodes because we're going to have a lot more stories to tell. But listen, I want to thank you, man. I'm excited for you. We're going to be following your journey, and whatever footage you give us, we're going to document it and we're going to share it with the world.
Yes, sir. Sounds good. I appreciate it, Pastor.
All right.
I thank you for building this. This is like, I just got such an appreciation for it because it was meant for me to find. So the value is there. I just hope the people can discern it for themselves.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, thanks again. And so as I close, I just want to say thank you for all of you who have tuned in. Make sure you like, follow, and share. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can hear more stories of success. Make sure you head over to speakerrealm.com, realmscouter.com to learn more information about the programs. In the meantime, between time, my name is Pastor Terry Higgs, founder of Speaker Realm, where speakers become sovereigns.